Jalen Ramsey was traded to the LA Rams. It was a trade between the Rams and the Jaguars. The Jaguars got a haul. They got 2 first-round draft picks and a 4th-round pick in return for Jalen Ramsey. That's a crazy good trade for the Jaguars. And it's interesting, the Jaguars didn't have a bunch of leverage here, in my opinion. Jalen was not going to play for them, and he wanted a new contract. They weren't going to give it to him. So the fact that they got 2 first-round picks and a 4th-round pick shows, 1, the Jaguars got a great haul. And it, 2, shows that Jalen Ramsey is really, really talented. And it's funny, my mouth keeps wanting to say Jalen Hurts because that's the guy in my mind. No, Jalen Ramsey, the cornerback, he's really, I think, the best corner in the NFL. But I want to start with the Jaguars. It's good for the Jaguars because they have a quarterback situation, I believe, figured out. Whether it's Nick Foles or Gardner Minshew, they have 2. They're not going to draft a 3rd quarterback. And they have 2 now new first-round picks on top of the ones they already have. That's great for their franchise, for building a franchise. I really like that. And especially if the Rams missed the playoffs this year, really good for the Jaguars, who want that pick to be higher and as high as possible. Next, I'm really happy for Jalen Ramsey in this trade. He wanted out, and he's going to a really, really good franchise, the LA Rams. I love the Rams general manager. I like their head coach. He gets to play for Wade Phillips, a defensive coordinator who's got a great football mind, who's a player's coach who likes his guys. He also gets to play for Sean McVay, a player's coach, a guy with a good culture, a guy I played with in high school, Samson Ebicom, plays for the Rams. He loves it there. The culture in that locker room is awesome. And Jalen was smart. You can't mention that you're happy for Jalen Ramsey without pointing out the path that got him here. First he said he was sick and missed a bunch of work. And then he said he had to miss time because he wanted to spend it with his pregnant girlfriend. And then in the end, he settled on, well, my back hurts. And he had a back injury, so he missed time for that. It was really smart by Jalen because everything he said was something that's difficult to criticize, especially hey, I want to be with my pregnant girlfriend. It's like, well, in today's day and age, it's hard to be critical of that. I do want you to notice, though, the minute he got traded, suddenly Jalen Hurts' back feels great. He's going to play this Sunday. Oh, wow. He wanted out. He wanted to get traded to the Rams. Well, he wanted to get traded anywhere other than Jacksonville. He got his wish. I think it's worked out well for him. He's went to a good franchise. I'm happy for Jalen Ramsey. So what did the Rams get? What does he mean to that franchise? Honestly, I do not think that Jalen Ramsey comes in and suddenly changes their entire franchise. They're not going to go to the playoffs now because of this one move. The problems right now are the offense. It's the offensive line is a big problem for the Rams. The quarterback, Jared Goff, I'm going to do a film analysis of him eventually. I don't know what's going on. I haven't watched a bunch of film, but it sounds like it's him. And I know what I have seen is the offensive line is not very good. I watched that Rams-Buccaneers game. And I think the reason why they traded for Jalen Ramsey was not to solve their immediate problems. The Rams are not crazy. They know that Jalen Ramsey's not the solution to all their problems. They're not delusional. They traded for him because he's an answer, a long-term solution to a problem that they have. They wanted a new premier corner. They're not going to have to worry about the corner position for years. They got Jalen Ramsey. He's 24 years old. He's already, in my opinion, the best corner in the entire NFL. That's significant, right? The next 6 years, Jalen Ramsey in LA, no problem. He's the guy. He's going to play for a long time at a high level. And I think for the Rams, the opportunity to get Jalen Ramsey was just too good to pass up. They're like, we cannot miss out on this. Right now, they have Aqib Talib. He's out. He's older. He's injured. He's 33 years old. He's on the injured reserve. And they had Marcus Peters, who has a lot of talent, who's a really, the word is just talent. He does a lot of stuff I like as a corner, but he takes a lot of risks, and that leads to inconsistent play. He gets beat often. Last year when the Rams brought in Aqib Talib and Marcus Peters, I loved the move. They took a risk. Like, we're going to bring in 2 new corners. We're going to make a big change. And the Rams were smart to bring them in, and now they're smart to get rid of Marcus Peters. They traded away Marcus Peters to the Ravens for a linebacker and a 5th-round pick, excuse me. And right now, Aqib Talib, he's older, he's injured, he's on the injured reserve, he's 33 years old. And now the Rams have a long-term solution at corner. That problem, the one they kind of wrestled with and thought they flirted with, maybe this is an idea. Marcus Peters wasn't the long-term solution they wanted. Now they have one. It's Jalen Ramsey. Bam, problem solved. And I'm certain they're going to extend him. You don't trade 2 first-round picks and a 4th-round pick for one player and not give him a contract extension. He is the long-term plan at corner for the Rams. And this is really good for their team. He might not immediately solve their problems on offense, which I think are really the bigger concerns with the Rams. But in that division, a division where you play Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray and the 49ers, their defense is incredible. They have Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback. Jalen Ramsey helps the Rams match up with the other teams in their division really well. First of all, the 49ers they don't have a great receiving core. They don't have a premier number 1 receiver in San Francisco. Well, the Rams have a premier corner who's going to shut down whatever comes his way. And the 49ers are going to struggle a lot more now throwing the ball against the Rams because of this move. And then not to mention the Seattle Seahawks. Jalen Ramsey is going to play corner against DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf is the Seahawks' new young rookie receiver. He's big, he's tall, he's fast, he's very athletically gifted. But he's got poor technique. He's Seattle's deep threat. And he's going to have Jalen Ramsey following him around the entire game. He's not, all year we've seen the Seahawks use play action, throw the ball deep. DK Metcalf always finds a way to create separation. It's not going to happen now. I would be shocked. I would be so surprised if DK Metcalf had a gigantic, crazy catch where he posterizes Jalen Ramsey. It's not going to happen. His technique isn't good enough to beat Jalen. So I think for the Rams' situation and their unique situation in their division, it's great. Not to mention Kyler Murray, the Cardinals quarterback, throws the ball like 100 times a game. You want a good corner. The Rams have one. I'm happy for them. My last thought is this. I think that this is a good trade for the Rams. It does not fix the offense, but it gives them a long-term solution at corner. Good for their division. He's the best corner in the league. He's only 24 years old. That's too hard to pass up. You see Jalen, you go, got to take him. But there's a tiny, tiny voice in the back of my head that goes, let's hold up just a little bit. He has a big personality. And what did we learn from Antonio Brown? The best receiver. Antonio Brown was the best wide receiver in the entire league. And he wanted to get traded. He forced his team to trade him. He complained about the team. And in the end, he got paid a ton of money and became kind of a basket case. I don't know that that's going to happen here with Jalen Ramsey. I don't like saying that, but I have an air of caution when I observe what happened is happening with Jalen, when I observe it through the lens of, we just had Antonio Brown, and there's a lot of similar behavior. Jalen has a big personality. He called out his former head coach and defensive coordinator. He's been very talkative his entire career. And I understand part of why Jalen Ramsey is so talkative is he's mimicking and wants to be like Deion Sanders. Prime time, he wants to be like it. Fair enough. I'm the best. I'm premier. I'm the blockbuster corner. I want attention because I'm good and I deserve it. Fair enough, I guess. And for me, like as a radio host, podcast host, whatever, as a content creator, Jalen Ramsey creates gold for me because I get to see what he says, and the headlines he creates with his mouth are wonderful. I love it. And I think it's somewhat good for a locker room because he calls it like he sees it. So in some instances, in a locker room situation, Jalen Ramsey's, I would call it direct communication style, can be helpful. If there's a problem, hey, let's deal with it. But there is a little bit of concern I have with Jalen Ramsey, that tiny voice in the back of my head that goes, okay, in the past he's been unhappy, he forced the team to trade him. We saw that go horribly wrong with Antonio Brown. I don't think it's that extreme. I think Antonio Brown, there are stories of Antonio Brown from years ago, people saying, don't pay him. Jalen Ramsey and Antonio Brown are not the same, but it's still worthy of, hey, let's just be a little cautious. I'm not afraid to say it. When you lose trust with a coach, if your player's unhappy, and let me tell you from experience, As a player, the minute you don't trust your coach or your coordinator on your side of the ball, it's really hard to play for that guy. It's hard. When you don't trust the guy calling plays and designing the offense, it's a problem. And if it ever gets there with Jalen Ramsey, I don't know. You got to keep him happy. I don't. That's the only like negative part of this entire trade is if somehow, and we're taking leaps and steps, we're asking a lot of if questions. If this, but if you take the right amount of question marks and put them all in one box, if the right things happen all in a row, is it possible that eventually Jalen Ramsey becomes a problem? I don't think so. But whenever a guy, I'm cautious now more than ever after Antonio Brown, when a guy calls out his coach, demands a trade, has a big personality, I'm going to be a little bit more hesitant now than I've ever been in the past because I'm trying to learn from the past. And so all I'm saying is I hope that Jalen Ramsey has a great attitude. I hope he wants to be there. I hope he buys in. And I hope he stays happy with the Rams because if he's not happy, he will tell you that. And he's not afraid to speak up. Now, also, I don't think he is a problem. I don't think he's a gigantic problem like other players are in the NFL. I think the reason why we saw that side of Jalen Ramsey, I think the reason why he did that, called out his coach, said this, is because he wanted out. He wanted to get out. But once you do it once, it opens the door to do it again. I've now talked way more than I wanted to about my tiny little concern. I'm not trying to blow this out of proportion. It's a tiny concern. The Rams got the best corner in the NFL. It's good for them. It helps their positioning in their division. And the Jaguars won because they got 2 first-round draft picks, not to mention the 4th. That's great for them. But I do have a tiny bit of concern when I watch what happened with Jalen Ramsey. My name is Zach Schaumler. This is my podcast, Strong Opinion Sports. It's my favorite thing in the entire world. And I want to be very clear and open with the audience. My YouTube channel is monetized. What that means is that some of my videos make ad revenue. It's fewer than you think. A lot of them get claimed. But in the past, I've received donations from people on Patreon and PayPal. PayPal.me/Zach Schaumler. Patreon.com/Zach Schaumler. And because I'm making ad revenue, it felt kind of weird just receiving donations. I wanted to give something back for the donations. And so people who support me on Patreon can give me $1 a month, and that allows them access to a pool where they can ask questions. If you send me questions through Patreon's DM service, you comment on one of my posts on Patreon. If you give $1 a month, you can submit questions. And with my eyeballs, I look at every single question submitted. Then at the end of my podcast, I pick the best top couple questions and read them on the show and answer them in a segment I call Ask Zach. Now that's for people who have money and want to support me that way. If you have no money to give, no problem. I totally understand. I grew up in a mobile home. I've been a broke college kid. I totally get it. But if you want to help in some capacity at the end, you can support the show by telling your friends about it. Share it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is. Help me grow by telling your friends about this show. It would mean a lot to me. If you believe in my dream and you believe in this show, tell your friends about Strong Opinion Sports. Guys, my name is Zach Schaumler. Thank you so very much, and hope you have a great day.